A shootout on the high seas today as U.S. Coast Guard and Defense Force officers battle against 3 men on a go-fast boat, reportedly with a large quantity of drugs on board. A tragedy and a crisis is how the PLP is describing the crime situation here in the country. Tonight, Party Leader Perry Christie is calling on the government to protect Bahamians. And City Markets has made a step, only it's not the one employees are embracing. Hundreds are jobless tonight after 3 stores closed. It's all coming up on the Bahamas Tonight, starting right now.
Covering the islands of the Bahamas, ZNS Network presents the Bahamas Tonight.
It's great to have you along this evening. This is the Bahamas Tonight National Report. I'm Shanique Miller. The deadliest 30 minutes in Bahamian history. At the end of it, the murder count pushed to the highest it's ever been. Authorities say murders 94, 95, and 96 speak to the moral decay of the country and of men who are struggling with issues as basic as conflict resolution. Clint Watson is live tonight. And Clint, first of all, thanks for joining us on the Bahamas Tonight. But what are police saying?
Shanique, police say they may be on to a major development in at least one of these murder cases. At this hour, they're not willing to confirm what it is. Although ZNS News has been reliably informed, we will not break the story just yet. But what we can tell you, Shanique, is that police are working to solve these crimes.
It is perhaps the deadliest 30 minutes police have seen in recent times in separate incidents, all resulting in 3 men being shot dead. Assistant Commissioner of Police Yulin Hanna confirmed the first incident happened on Roland Street, Ridgeland Park around 4:45 this morning. Authorities learned that gunshots were heard, and when police arrived, a 1996 white Maxima vehicle was parked in the middle of the road. 2 men were inside with gunshot wounds. The passenger already dead, the driver taken to hospital where he later died. It is believed the men were in the area to pick someone up for work. A short time later, around 5:15 a.m., officers found themselves on Palmetto Avenue west of Crooked Island Street. That's where a man had just exited his girlfriend's home when a male running from the eastern direction allegedly opened fire, hitting the man multiple times to the upper body. He died right in front of the house.
We feel encouraged in this particular one that perhaps we may be around the curve on this. We make no promises, but we're going to put everything into what we have so that we can carry out an effective investigation into all of these incidents.
This new record high murder count, according to Hanna, speaks to the moral decay in the country. He recognizes that for a long time we've been challenged among men who appear to be struggling with basic issues. Hanna notes that while it's discouraging that these victims are yet again young Bahamian men, we fail to see the families behind these victims and the bitterness, hurt, and anger they face.
This is not the time to be emotive. This is not the time to blame this and to blame that. We just need to come together and deal with our internal issues. None of these things look good for the country. A record here, a record there, even if there was not a record this morning, none of this speak well for our country. We have to rise to the occasion, and that's what we need to see. No one wins, and no one won this morning.
Police are asking for the public's help in solving this latest slate of murders, no matter how small you might deem the information to be. These murders come on the heels of a national day of prayer. Could it signal a deeper spiritual war? Well, Hannah responded this way.
I want to commend the churches on behalf of the Commission of Police, and particularly the Bahamas Christian Council, because they did something. Okay, they did something, and in the absence of anything, they did something, and so that is positive, and we want to encourage more of that kind of thing in communities where there are hot spots, to have those community prayer groups and activate persons, touching persons.
And of course, Shanique, you can imagine police word of advice and encouragement to everybody is the first place we all need to stop and evaluate is really the man in the mirror. Back to you, Shanique.
Well, Clint, I see you speaking with Assistant Commissioner of Police Yulin Hanna in that piece just now, and a lot of talk, so much talk coming from the police. Any at all new strategies in the fight against crime?
I'll tell you, Shanique, normally when this happens, police get together, especially the top brass, and they strategize what is their next way of combating what has happened. And so no doubt we know that police will meet on this now that there's a new record high. They have to respond to police, to the public's outcry, to having some solution, as you will hear later on with the opposition. So no doubt we expect to be hearing from them in short order on what's the next level of strategy to combat crime. They always come through, and so we expect them to come through this time.
Well, Clint, thank you so much. We can tell you that all 3 murders happened in the St. Cecilia constituency. Area Member of Parliament Cynthia Mother Pratt viewed one of the scenes. She's troubled by the bloodshed.
Somebody has to be the voice of the people. Somebody had to speak out, because these people are looking for answers. The government must take the lead. They must take the lead. And so this morning is a troubling time, because we're talking about 3 murders in the space of 24 hours in St. Cecilia, and maybe a 4th one in West Street in 24 hours, not 48, 24 hours. And so certainly I am troubled by this, but we must still continue to pray, because prayer is the key. But we must act along with prayer and get some things done.
Meantime, a man is nursing gunshot wounds to the face tonight. The shooting happened around 3 this morning on West Street. According to the police, the man was in a bedroom when it is believed that another man placed a chair outside the bedroom window, stood on it, and opened fire on him, resulting in the man being shot to the face. The victim was taken to hospital, where he is listed in serious but stable condition. A tragedy and a crisis is how the Progressive Liberal Party and the leader, Perry Christie, is describing the spate of murders. He reiterated the call for the Ingram administration to protect the citizens of this country and maintains that reducing violence must be the nation's top priority. Altavi's Munnings has more on the PLP's press conference.
I, for one, am prepared or not prepared to let an entire generation grow up in a nation where violence and killing have become routine.
As the country's murder count makes history, the Progressive Liberal Party maintains that the Bahamian people are angry and fearful of crime. Leader Perry Christie accused the current government of offering only paralysis and indifference on the high rate of crime at a press conference at his party's Farrington Road headquarters Thursday.
First, every Bahamian life lost is a tragedy and must be seen as such. Many of this year's murder victims were law-abiding citizens in the wrong place at the wrong time. And every murder victim is part of a larger community which is greatly affected by the extraordinary violence in our streets. Yet the Minister of National Security is essentially throwing up his hands. He's virtually admitting that he's giving up.
As the country faces another general election, Mr. Christie touted his party's proposed crime plan to at least put a dent in crime. The proposal offers saturation patrols, strike forces, and safe havens to deal with crime prevention. But a primary component is Urban Renewal 2.0, a plan the former Christie administration boasts made a difference.
When I became Prime Minister and we initiated Urban Renewal, one of the officers who was put in the Farm Road Urban Renewal office grew up in McCullough Corner. I met him on the porch in McCullough Corner. He knew every single personality in that district, and he was able to go to them in their communities where they were and say, brothers, brethren, do not do this. Our programs are intended to give young men hope and support and guidance, and to lead them to a brighter future.
And Mr. Christie promised that police officers will have all the equipment they need to fight crime when the Progressive Liberal Party becomes the next government of the Bahamas.
We respect the police, and we will equip the police even more, and we will support initiatives that this current commissioner will take when we become the government.
Mr. Christie urges the Ingram administration to send a clear message to criminals that they will be swiftly caught and punished once they commit a crime. He believes that this scourge of criminality must be addressed by the government immediately. Altavi's Munnings, ZNS News.
4 men in police custody tonight following a shootout on the ocean. More than that, the suspects were apprehended with what can be considered among the largest drug seizures this year. Carla Palmer was at Prince George Wharf today.
954 pounds, with each pound reportedly valued at $1,000. That's just under $1 million worth of drugs police confiscated this Thursday following a drug bust on the high seas. The incident has also resulted in 4 Bahamian men taken into custody as a result. It allegedly happened around midnight in the tongue of the ocean near Andros. Police say the suspects were first spotted on their go-fast boat by the U.S. Coast Guard. Commander of the Drug Enforcement Unit, Police Superintendent Robert Sherman Young, says the suspects were reportedly coming from Jamaica.
We got some information that there was a go-fast boat on the waters headed in the direction of Andros. The U.S. Coast Guard and DA helicopters out of Exuma were dispatched, and they were able to locate the vessel. And as a result of their locating the vessel, we launched vessels from here, from Nassau. We launched the Defense Force vessel and the police NORTEC vessels. Both vessels intercepted the boat.
The drug seizure and arrest, however, did not go without incident. The suspects, determined not to be caught, reportedly opened fire on police, and in the exchange of gunfire, one of the suspects was shot in the arm and has since been airlifted to hospital. As for the other 3 men, they have been hauled off for questioning.
We didn't expect to, usually persons would ditch the weapons in the water.
Superintendent Young strongly believes they are making inroads in the war against drugs.
Certainly, over the last few months, we've had a number of good seizures. Back in April, we had a seizure of about around 1,500 pounds. Then we had a seizure recently of 588 pounds. So we're getting some good seizures.
Police described the suspect's vessel as a twin 250 horsepower engine, quite fast and powerful. Nevertheless, they say it was no match for their 42-foot NORTEC vessel. Carla Palmer, ZNS News.
When we come back, City Markets closes 4 of its stores today. We have the story in New Providence and Grand Bahama coming up.